We have some serious time to make up if we're going to make it into the parade of homes. To do that, we're going to have to use some new equipment and some new methods. Introducing the Rockslinger.
It is a pretty cool piece of equipment. Not every day do we use this because this costs twice as much to backfill.
So why did we bring in this machine? We needed to fill the entire basement with clean gravel. This machine shoots out the gravel into every nook and cranny of the foundation. It distributes the gravel evenly across the basement floor, and that's crucial to backfilling the basement. Clean gravel has the best compaction and is the best for drainage. Using the Rockslinger, we were able to cut our backfill time in half, but speed like this comes at a cost.
Let's burn some Benjamins today.
Yeah, if we want to be in the parade, that's what we got to do.
Well, watching this guy use a little remote to sling rocks 25 feet away, I was like, this has got to be one of the most relaxed jobs in construction.
But for us, the day is just beginning.
We are building $1 million parade home. Here we go, we got Construction Wally working today. He is a vibrating compactor. You can see he was compacting the garage. When you compact, make sure that you compact in lifts, and by doing that, you're gonna have less settling, and that is what you want. So our concrete flatwork guys are up there. They're gonna make sure that we made the ground nice and flat for them. They're gonna string line, and then they're gonna form up. They're actually going to form up in our utility room, a built-in pan, which is going to be pretty nice. And then in the garage, they're also going to add rebar, which the rebar is going to add extra strength for when the cars are parked there. It's crucial that they do this job, they take their time and do this job right when they do flat work, because it's going to last the entirety of the home, and nobody wants a wavy or, scratchy looking floor from them not doing the concrete smooth.
So we'll just go straight up. Right there.
Sun is up and those forms are stripped. Little celebration today, but we can't celebrate too much. Dig, baby, dig. We will be digging a lot of trenches today. We need to get some sewer lines underneath our slab. This line will connect to the street. On this house, using 3-inch pipe, we'll need a 2% slope, which is 1/4 inch over a foot. Now we just gotta get the plumber in there and keep rolling.
I think we're pretty dang straight. No, it's...
So the foreman here is taking the time to go through and plan out all of the plumbing. He's got to mark out where everything goes. He's got to think about the floors above him that aren't even built yet. He's got the second floor, the main floor, and the basement all have to be tied together. And in order to do that, he has to plan where they're going to go up and in what they call stacks. Now these stacks are going to be laid out according to the groups of bathrooms that are close by each other on the additional floors. Here he's got to dig down and to ensure that all of the drains in the home slope towards the street. And then we have to cap it all off and put it under pressure. Putting the system under pressure allows us to identify any potential leaks there may be in the system and allows us to get them fixed before concrete is poured over the top.
Is it awesome? That's pretty cool.
So this is our low point right here. It's where we stub out, and excavators will eventually tie into that with the sewer main that's out on the street. And basically the whole way up we just slowly grade upwards. And so right here we shot a combi off. That's what this fitting is called right here. And we got to put stacks in these walls, and these stacks is what pick up the upper floors for fixtures. So roughly above this stack there'll be a bathroom group, and then above that stack down there there'll be another bathroom group. We have our toilet, We have a sink right here. And right in here, this is gonna be for a tub. And we just put those buckets there to box out the concrete so they can pour around stuff. Right over there, we have a kitchen, an island kitchen, and we have to sleeve some lines because it's obviously on an island, and so we need to sleeve water lines into that wall over there so we can pick it up on the rough end. A laundry right here, there'll be a washer, and this is gonna be the drain for that washer. And then we got a floor drain because there's gonna be 2 mechanical rooms, and so we gotta have a floor drain for each of those so our water heaters can properly drain into something. It's kind of the gist of it.
Now that the plumbing's finished, it's time to pour a concrete slab. We are gonna put up some forms and we're gonna do 4 inches of concrete that's gonna rest on top of the foundation wall. In order for them to finish this, they're probably gonna be working all night.
All right, so we're at plumbing, and now is when all of the behind the scenes magic happens. Well, in this case, the underground magic. A lot of this will be pipes that get put in that connect to the street that you won't ever see. Once we do this work and we position these runs, they will be encased in concrete and it will be very difficult to adjust later. So it makes me very nervous when laying out the basement, because if a toilet's off or a sink runs off, then we have to cut concrete out in order to make it work. They're gonna get this all laid out, and we're gonna end up putting these pipes under pressure to ensure that there's no leaks moving forward. And once they do that, we can then encase everything in concrete and build our way up.
Right now we're drilling into the concrete so we can get rebar. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put rebar in a grid pattern, which is important. So one thing to know is concrete's strong in compression, but weak in tension. That's where the rebar comes in. So not only are we doing this in the garage, we're actually gonna even do this in the driveway later on. And not every builder does this. And again, this is, us moving towards a path of building things with longevity instead of focusing on costs. I personally have always enjoyed concrete being poured. There's just something so satisfying about it.
This stage of the pour is called Flatwork. Here they use a different mixture of concrete. It's a little bit thinner. The reason for that is that they want to be able to give it a smooth finish. This floor is what will be walked on, and it'll potentially even be visible if we decided to put epoxy in the basement. To get that smooth finish, there are a few pieces of equipment they use and some technical artistry. They start with a vibratory float that gets rid of air bubbles and helps the aggregate settle. In detail areas that are hard to work in, they smooth with hand floats to be able to get it nice and smooth. As the area increases in size, they need to bring in more specialized equipment, such as the power float, also known as the concrete helicopter by the guys on site.
Interesting thing about concrete is it actually gets stronger over time. So what they're pouring today is actually going to be curing for decades. And a properly poured foundation is actually going to last over 100 years. It is cold, but we need to make sure that we get this foundation damp-proofed. In order to do that, we need to make sure we put tar all over, especially the areas that we feel we're going to put grade. Really, that's about it. This lot has beautiful views, but the backyard is unusable. It's sloped in the abyss, but we're going to fix that. We're going to build a retaining wall that's going to retain the dirt so we can make the backyard nice and flat, and it's going to make it really usable and nice for anyone that has kids or somebody that just really wants to enjoy the backyard.
We do have a little bit of an issue. We have that apartment where you can walk out of the basement, right? It's in this back corner here, that door. And so if we don't retain it, we could potentially have steps coming up to the basement floor.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, yeah, having steps, having a staircase to your basement entrance, yeah, would look kind of funny. Yeah. Thankfully, we've got tons of dirt from the excavation, so what we'll do is we'll backfill, and then we'll try and fill in a lot of this dirt back here to level out this backyard, and then we'll just have to retain it in that corner.
I think we got this though.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can make it look good.
Okay, time to build a rock wall. So how we do these is, it's really interesting actually. They build these on site and they're gonna string line, make sure everything's parallel. You connect these two pieces and make a cantilevered unit. After they're together, we need to make sure that we line them up again, get them all snug, and let's play some whack-a-mole. Then let's grab some road-based fill and spread it out across all of these panels. We also add GeoGrid, which is going to help stabilize this soil, and we just need to make sure that we compact well, and this wall is going to last a lifetime. Look how we've improved this lot already. You can see here we have this retaining wall, which is going to create a lot better yard than having it sloped down. And I'm really excited that the homeowner is going to have a nice flat backyard. These roofs on the houses behind us don't affect the view at all, not in the slightest.
And just like that, what once was an empty hole in the ground is now a rock-solid foundation ready to be built upon. From the precision of the Rockslingers with the backfill to the maze of underground pipes from the plumber, every step so far has been about building a home that lasts. But this is just the beginning. Now, with the stage set, we're ready to bring in the framer and go vertical with construction.
Nobody likes to point out their mistakes, but we overlooked this.
Every house, no matter what you do, you put it on plan and it changes.
Look at these windows. These framers went to town.